Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games, hosted by two very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and with me is per usual.
I'm mostly here, but part of me has been generated by AI.
Oh, okay.
It's just filling in the gaps of sort of like some of my dud riffs and some of my wordplay that doesn't quite come out correctly.
Yeah. I'd love a part AI brain.
Oh,
I'd love
brother.
a crowd work AI part of my brain.
Yeah.
I mean, that can just, you feed someone's job into a fucking computer and it can spit out a bunch of different ways to call them gay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should test that out. We can do a gig where I'm like got a laptop side stage.
Yeah.
And we can employ chat GPT to deliver some shit crowd work.
It would be an interesting kind of deep dive episode to look at like all of the things like technologically over time that have been seen as either people panicked about or excited about or like, people en masse talking about in this way that, this is going to change everything.
Yeah.
And did they or did they not really pan out?
Man, that's actually, maybe I'll do that for the next special zone.
Fuck!
That's all right. You got the Simpsons video games.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of, if you get onto our Patreon, you can support the show. Very much appreciated by us. You get ad-free episodes. You get an extra show every week that we do where we talk about movies and TV shows and stuff. And once a month we do like a special zone deep dive. One of us presents a topic. We just did the history of Donkey Kong.
Yes.
In honor of Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out in a couple of weeks. We've got a whole bunch of extra content on there. So if you've never gone in, now is a great time to do it because there is hundreds of hours.
Genuinely, yeah. Going back over the years, all the way back through the start of the Patreon where we were doing a book club, but video games. Yep. All the stuff through COVID where we did stuff like the Filthy Casuals Guide to Life. We did the Guide to 1991, 1992, and so on.
We did like a history of like different consoles and stuff like that as well. We've had all sorts of stuff on there.
Absolutely. It also helps us pay our rent.
That's true.
Which is very important to us.
AI can't do that.
No.
See, get onto an AI that like does that shit like that for you.
Yeah. Just calculate, spread the wealth around from the most wealthy people who have an abundance down to the people who have not enough to pay their rent.
Yeah. I don't need an AI band on Spotify to listen to.
No.
Because you know what there's heaps of? Actual really good bands with humans in it. There's actually not enough time to listen to every good piece of music that's ever been made.
That's right.
So we don't need other fake stuff in there.
No.
Who's that for? I truly don't understand. I really genuinely do not understand what is the benefit to Spotify having making a fake bat. What, to get out of having to pay the like 0.3 of a cent? But like they're probably already paying fuck all. So
it's music for other AI to listen to.
I guess.
It's music for bots.
It's really, we've really gotten even like the dystopian version of the future. We've got the worst versions of even that.
Yes.
We're having like AI just interacting with other AI.
Yeah.
But are we able to like freely and easily fuck a robot yet? No.
Well, you mentioned that there's way too much music on Spotify to ever consume in a lifetime. You can consume all of our Patreon content. It'll take a long time.
I think if you listened continuously, there's like, let's say you put in a solid 8-hour day.
Yeah.
So
I know that there is 340 episodes of Nintendo 69. I don't know if that includes the stuff that was pre that format. So that's at least around 340 hours.
Yep.
Plus, I'm going to say 25 to 30 premium episodes and special zones.
Yep.
So let's say there's 360 hours of content there.
Okay.
That's so 1 hour every day.
Let's say we're looking at 800 hours.
Sure.
Total.
Sure.
On the Patreon.
Yeah.
Right, let's do the maths on this one.
Okay.
Give me a sec. Okay, 800 divided by, it's 100 days.
Sure.
So let's say you're doing 5-day weeks.
Yeah.
So what's that? 20 weeks? No. 25 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so that's half a year.
That's half a year.
6 months.
Of full-time commitment.
A full-time. You have a data entry job.
Oh, yes.
Where you're just free to listen to whatever.
Yep.
You can fill up the next 6 months of your life just listening to us.
And I guarantee by the time you've got to the end of that 6 months, you will have forgotten what the first episode was, and you can go back and start again.
Yeah. Well, I imagine you're hanging yourself in the break room around month 3.
I mean, that's almost certain to happen, yes.
Not saying I want that to happen.
No.
But just listening to the same people for that long of a stretch.
8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Man.
You'd be begging for some AI content.
All of your coworkers like, hey, hello? And you're just like, leave me alone. I'm listening to Tommy, Ben, and Adam.
Yeah. Good morning, video games. Good morning, video games.
But patreon.com/filthycasualspod greatly helps us out if you support us even a little bit.
Yeah. We're pitching is kind of like conversion therapy for like being someone in your life has noticed you've got too much of a parasocial relationship to these guys. So they just kind of like Clockwork Orange style strap you in and force you to listen to us so much that you end up just hating everything about us, our opinions, our like vocal, tics,
our tics, our
tone of our voice,
our audio quality. Or, I mean, yes, that'll happen to the majority of people. Let's say 95%. But that 5% who come out loving us even more, baby, that's a cult.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to kind of, cultivate here.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Thank you. But hey, speaking of AI, being used to fill the gaps of art.
Yeah.
You just told me about something that I was not aware of. This game, The Alters, which I have heard about. A few people in our Discord are playing it. Mm-hmm. It does sound cool. It's like a survival game where the conceit is that you are able to like clone yourself.
Yes.
And all of the little clones you make of yourself have this like their own like backstory and everything. This is a bit of a sleeper hit.
Yeah.
Kind of people slowly kind of getting into it, and a few people in the Discord talking about playing it and loving it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, they have to delete the game from their computer now.
They're now part of the problem.
That's right. It has generative AI in it. There was a report recently that pointed out, and I think a lot of players sort of started screenshotting this and sharing this around, that there is evidence of AI prompts within sort of like, flavor text, like world building stuff, and in other places, I think even maybe on sort of assets in the game. But it was stuff like, please revise this section to be more, to have more of this tone of voice and more of this blah, 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 blah. And so it's like, well, that's what people put into ChatGPT to like, play around with and tweak content that has been written already by ChatGPT.
Yep.
And so, people are pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
I think the developer, I think that's like 11-bit studios, something like that, have come out and been like, so in the making of the game, we included some placeholder stuff, that we intended to replace later on with stuff that was written by humans, but through some kind of and it clearly is a massive mistake to leave the prompt in.
Of course,
it's like, it's like leaving a blueprint in the game for a building that's been built. It's like, no, that's so they've come out and been like, well, it wasn't meant to be in the final copy.
Yep,
and. I'm having this conversation more and more with people, and you're hearing this more and more. There are many such cases of people, just general, office workers, whatever, being like, I use ChatGPT to
I'm amazed
stuff.
at, it's interesting, isn't it? It's like, so at that kind of, bless you. It's so
Thank you.
That CNA I wouldn't need to sneeze.
No.
And therefore, better podcast.
Yeah. At least we can get AI to edit out the sneeze.
It's interesting having to kind of reframe.
Have you come across this as well? Like just people.
Oh yeah. And creative people who I think like do good work, who I would kind of feel like I'm sort of on the same wavelength as like creatively and
totally.
Wouldn't ever condone like plagiarizing something from someone, for example, but just I don't know, I do think that there's a personality type that's really like, this is happening one way or the other, and the best thing to do is just get out in front of it and learn how to use it, kind of know what's going on. And to a certain extent, like, I do agree with that. And it's not like I'm not using it anywhere in my life. Like, there's, like, I was meeting with someone recently about podcast stuff, and they were like, are you using the AI plugin to do your clips? And I was like, no, I'm kind of going through and just sort of seeing what I think. And they're like, why? They just get a thing to find the clips for you. And I was like, well, in that sense, like, I guess that's fine, because who gives a fuck about the creative merit? I've already done the show.
Yeah.
Who cares about the busy work of, it's not like I can stand up if something gets good views and go like, yes, I found that clip by myself. I made the decision.
Right.
I don't feel any sense of pride in like having picked the clip.
Yeah, sure.
I feel pride in like the clip being good and getting traction.
Yeah.
And so in that instance, it's like, well, yeah, who gives a fuck? That's not taking work from anyone. That's actually like cutting down the amount of like busy work and shit I have to do.
Right.
But yeah, I've said this a few times. It's like the problem is it's a slippery slope, and by endorsing that, you sort of are. It does feel like you're in for a penny, in for a pound. Like you're opening the door to it eventually. I mean, I'm so sick of seeing those fucking dog shit like little AI cartoons that people use to promote stuff. Like that kind of shit I think just looks awful, and that style of it is rotten. And I'll see like these clips that are like, I saw one the other day that was like the page was called something like funny AI or whatever. So it's not even like it's trying to pass itself off as, isn't it crazy that this happened?
Right.
And the clip is like, it's a little boat with like maybe 10 people on it and a morbidly obese woman standing on the railing, and she kind of jumps into the water and makes this huge splash, which then causes this sort of like basically like a sinkhole in the ocean that then like sinks the boat.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, if that happened in real life, you'd be like, whoa. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like, you've told me at the outset that, and it's not, if it was a cartoon, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a funny premise.
Sure.
But it's just like, what am I looking at? What's the value in this? If you're if you're not even like trying to trick me into thinking that it really happened, you're like outwardly saying AI made this.
Yeah.
Like, so it should. Like, it looks convinced. Like, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, that was like, that is the issue when movies use CGI and it's bad. It's like, but if you went into the film and at the door they were like, hey, there's a lot of CGI in this film, like the dinosaur's fake. You'd go in and you'd be like, I can't stop thinking about how they've pointed out that this was fake. It doesn't feel like, what's the point now?
I mean, because I guess like, and to kind of tie it back to video games, like we're constantly seeing these people in the industry having to crunch, or like, these like massive teams and these like budgets that are sort of unsustainable, and the amount of money that these games have to make to, make their money back, and something can be successful and the studio still closes. So if there are these tools that mean that a team of like 15 people can make something really good and make it on time, but I don't know, it's funny because you start to get up on your high horse about this stuff, and you feel as though you're someone like 30 years ago being like, Photoshop is cheating.
Yes.
Like AutoCAD is cheating. Like all this kind of stuff. And so I think like it being a tool that is, like, I was watching something the other day that quite clearly had AI in it. And it was, I guess we'll talk about this on the bonus, but I wonder if you clocked this in it. The Squid Game, the new episodes of Squid Game. There's a baby in there.
I haven't seen the baby yet.
And I reckon it's been generated with AI.
Huh, interesting.
And that is like, well, if you did that there's something about it that looks either AI or CG, but I suspect it's AI.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, well, yeah, you've got this little fucking infant that you've got to have like reacting a certain way on camera in a shot. It's obviously doing it CG would look, it like you can tell either way that it's not a real baby. And in that instance, it's like, well, okay, sure. What do you like? I guess it is just the equivalent, like when you say, like, disclosing that there's CGI in a film. Like if it was the tool of like a bunch of people on the computers making the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, or maybe fewer people because technology has advanced, using AI to get the same result. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think it is just when it's used as like a shortcut, and that it's going to put creative people out of work. But
that's it, right?
But there's always, there's been so many things that have come along where people have thought like, oh, this is going to be the death of creativity, and at the end of the day, it is still how you use it.
Yes, and I think like we've said the whole time, like the AI is never going to be able to come up with a brand new idea. It's always going to have to be fed by someone with a genuine, talent in creativity and an inspired idea.
Yep.
AI can only recycle existing stuff, which when it's creating something like a lifelike looking baby, sure, you can draw on every existing photo footage, existing CGI baby to make that, but to come up with something genuinely brand new, it's got to be a human being.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the issue with something like using AI instead of CGI, like you said, takes away potentially a few people's jobs. And in the alters, using AI generated text takes away the job of a games writer, which there's not heaps of those jobs out there.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I think about it in terms of like if it's someone making something who just quite simply doesn't have the budget to hire someone to do that stuff for them. So it's not I think it's okay, and I would consider using it for stuff where it's like I want this to get made and done, and I simply don't have the money to pay someone the $5,000 to do that task or whatever. This is just a little personal project or whatever. So it's like that job just doesn't exist either way.
Right.
Like
it was going to be me or no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then by me opting into that is an endorsement. That is encouraging it. That is contributing to its learning.
Sure.
And you can't draw a line where it's like, well, yeah, people are only going to use it like that. No, of course a corporation is going to go like, yeah, let's make an entire TV show with it and just churn it out, and that can be... And like that's cost us $0, and now we're getting subscriptions through our platform or whatever to pay to watch it. Like, the Spotify stuff is like, it's insane. Yeah. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, and it's like, maybe having that as like royalty free music and stuff, like. But yeah, the idea that you're sitting down and opening a playlist of AI generated music on Spotify and being like, all right, gonna get my train to work today.
Yeah. And I mean, again, this is, I don't know if this is boring to people, but it is, especially when you're in a creative field. You're seeing this stuff around all the time. You're having to like talk about it and kind of worry about it all the time. And in terms of like using it to do something that could be someone's actual job, the reality is, especially in this country, for a lot of like TV production, film production, budgets are like way down on what they used to be. There is just no money. And so again, like I like to think if I was in a position where I was making something legitimate for being aired on a streamer or a TV show, that I would draw a real line in the sand, and it would be like, this all has to be organically done. But who's to say that like, the budget, if you get fuck all to work with and you still want this thing to look and feel as good as it can be, no one watches it and goes, that's pretty good given that they probably only got, this much.
Right.
If it's not up to scratch, people are going to turn off.
Yeah.
So if it is a case where you've paid your talent to do some, like, I'm imagining like an animated thing, right?
Yeah.
You've paid some people to do the voices. Mm-hmm. You've paid a studio to do the actual animation.
Yes.
And, all of the like writing and all of that kind of stuff. And then you get to the end and you're like, we want the music to be good. Mm. We've got no money for me. We've spent all this money on all these other people. And yes, that is someone's, you could be paying someone to do that music, and that's putting someone out of a job. Mm-hmm. But you now, rather than having to like skimp in other areas, you have this option of being able to be like, well, we've paid all these other people. Mm-hmm. We've done the right thing up until this point. We haven't used AI to write the script.
Right.
We just need this one little bit done, and it means that we can still have it feel exactly how we want it to feel.
Right.
Of course, it's tempting. Like it's, you just wouldn't have had that as an option, 10 years ago.
No.
But it still feels dodgy.
Yeah, and I think it kind of is, because 10 years ago, either, you would have skimped on everything and it may not have matched your creative vision fully, or you would have like begged a mate for a favor and been like, hey, you'll get credited if I mean, it's never going to happen, but if they ever make physical media of this, you'll get a piece of that. Like, there are ways that involve compromises on someone's part, right? Whether it's a mate doing it for free or compromising everything a little bit, there's always been that thing. And we also have spoken about like limitations tend to breed creativity.
That's true. Yeah, it's true.
Which if in the back of your mind you always have like, well, we could just get ChatGPT to write the text for our video game. We don't have to pay a writer. Then that might just be there in the back. And kind of corrupt the process.
It sucks because like there's less and less budgets in most things these days, and like I made a pilot 12 years ago or something with Tom Ballard. It's called Fully Furnished. You can watch it on my YouTube.
Yes, featuring Ronnie Chang.
Featuring Ronnie Chang, Susie Youssef, Spod did the music for it. We were really proud of it, and it was this like online initiative that SBS had where we got some money to make one, and we called in a lot of favors.
Right.
We didn't pay ourselves. A lot of the crew were like doing it for like doing a mates rates thing under the assumption of like, hey, if this gets up,
that's a season's
for everyone.
Worth of,
it's pretty classic sort of formula. And then they were like, oh, we'll give you some money to make more, but it was just basically they wanted 6, and it was like that money that we'd gotten for that one, times 6.
Yeah.
And we were like, we can't do that again. Like we can't have our own show on TV that we've received literally no money for. Like that's insane.
Yeah, the crew's getting paid, and we're not cut rate.
Yeah,
and
we're
stuff.
not going to be able to get all those people back. I think it was like me and Tom and our producer did it for free. Our producer got some friends in to sort of do it, mates rates. It was like we can't recreate that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking about a scenario where maybe there was, but I don't even know how we would have gotten around it with AI. It's like the simple fact is it's like you need a location, you need people to do all this stuff, work the cameras, do the editing. Like I do, again, like maybe, but the music was like the smallest like
maybe the editing would have been able to be done by AI. Which
maybe
it wouldn't
have been like we had a good editor. We had like a gun editor who had worked on a lot of really good stuff, and we spent like an entire day in the suite with him, like really fine tuning it, and it was satisfying. Like it was, So I don't know. Like it's funny. Like a lot of the people that I talk to about this stuff are people that work in advertising, where they're really just like, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. I mean, you can't be too precious about your art in that sense, I guess.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people that I've spoken to are people who are working in kind of like, what would you say, like project management, finance, data analysis, stuff like that, where it's literally like, well, my boss has told me to use AI because they know it's going to cut the time it takes to do this in half, and they're going to give me the amount of work that is going to fit that time span if AI is involved. And if I don't use it to calculate formulas and do like honestly, it's like it's not that far off what Excel would do. It's using mathematics to calculate stuff or collate stuff or summarize faster than a human could do it. And if I don't use AI to do that, and this is a tool that like they've paid for the business to have, I have to work twice as long hours just to get my work done.
Right. Yeah. I think I get really bogged down in like, is this an age thing where I'm like shaking my fist at this, where if you're 20 and this is just like, hey, it's just thing that exists. Like, I mean, you see all this stuff of people like on the dating apps and being able to tell that, or like, I saw a thing that someone posted. I follow a couple of accounts that are like, that will collate sort of like, there's one called Hinge Boys, which is just like, rank or stupid stuff that people have said to someone on the dating apps.
Yes.
And there was this one of a guy, and they've gone back and forth, and then they've organized to meet up, and he's like, oh, look, full disclosure, and I'll get into it a bit more when we have this drink, but I should let you know that as an experiment, all of our chat up until this point I was using ChatGPT for.
Whoa.
And like things like that where people are using it to just like converse with or solve problems with, But then I think about like, is that a million miles away from the version of that which is just getting on Google and being like, you know, how do I fix a shelf? And you've got to wade through, maybe find a couple of videos or like you know, you have to separate the wheat from the chaff, which is just the same as maybe like refining your question.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like 15 years ago, there would have been a version of us that was just like, it's cheating to just get on Google and ask and, you know, put in, how do I do this or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
it was like, going to uni, it was like, well, you can't use Wikipedia, even though it is the information it has declares whether it has a citation in a, you know, in some kind of publication or not. Like, you can't just go to Wikipedia and get the gist and then find a citation and plop that into your essay. Like, and it was hard I'm sure it was hard for like, you know, tutors and professors and stuff to be like, well, how much of this was from the original reading and how much of it was like from a summary if they've, you know, but it was strongly discouraged. If not, I mean, it may have been outright banned. I can't remember if it was like, you know, to the letter of the law, but it was like, no, you have to go and find the original source and read that. So you've done the research. You can't just rely on an intermediate third party.
You can't just copy paste, which is just you can put a prompt into ChatGPT and it writes the essay for you. Yeah. And you know, the thing is, like, there are things that like this where they get found out by leaving that placeholder in, and had they not done that by accident, people might never know. And we could be interacting with so much stuff that has had some like juicing with it. Sometimes I think it's pretty. If you're looking for it, you can generally tell visually with stuff. Yeah. But in a script writing sense, like, it's maybe a lot harder to pick out. Yeah, especially if it has had a little bit of like tweaking here and there.
That's it, right? Like you say with advertising, like 99% of captions of Facebook, Instagram posts, X, all of that stuff will be ChatGPT or another text generator
But you're
model.
just seeing people kind of like, people are so on edge about it, where in the lead up to Mario Kart World coming out, there was a thing where people were like, oh, they've used AI in this, because there was there was like a billboard in one of the screenshots or videos that had like a little wonky looking car. And people were like, see, that's AI. And Nintendo were like, I mean, Nintendo of all people are probably not, you know, would feel pretty strongly about it. They're like, no. And then the game comes out and you see that thing that they're talking about and just the design of the cars in it. It's like, it's a fucking cartoon. So it's like, is that where we're at now? Of like anything that looks like slightly off kilter is like, people can still make that stuff organically and it looks cool. Like, but it's when it's I don't know. The thing of like, when you would put something into AI and it would come out a little bit wrong and it looks neat, it's like, that is kind of funny and interesting and there is something to it. Like, I don't know.
But if you are a young person listening to this, jump on the social post for this on Instagram, or if you're in the Patreon, let us know what your attitude is to it.
Do you care?
Do you care? Do you care if it's in something creative? And have you been kind of like forced into using it because of, like I said, like, it's been accepted by the people who are controlling the money. Yeah. And it's like, well, using AI means more money in less time. Is that just something that's creeping into work?
Yeah, if it meant with games that people aren't having to crunch, that there's... Because we were talking about this off air, like there's... I don't fully understand how it works, but I think there's something in the Switch 2 chip that's got that, like... It's the NVIDIA stuff, which is able to use AI to like...
I think it's called DLSS, which was in the first... I think it's in the chip that... the chip. It's in the graphics card that I have.
Right.
And it was the one that I got that had ray tracing, and I used it for Cyberpunk. And that gave me the option to use DLSS, which basically it fills in the gaps so that you don't have to be running it and like at like a high resolution and with all these high textures and all this stuff that your computer like can't do. Yeah. And it ends up running slowly. Basically it goes like, well, we'll run it at like 1440p and we will use this DLSS thing to generate the sort of in-between bits. Yep. So that it is able to run smoothly. And it's on the Switch 2's chip as well. Yeah. And that is fascinating. And that's great because then you get into a point where, you know, as we're still sort of straddling this line between like
portability and the rise of like not just the Switch but the portable PC.
Yes.
And then meanwhile, like games on home consoles are getting like, something like Death Stranding 2. It's going to be a long time before you're able to get that. You could probably get a version of it running on a Steam Deck or a Switch 2, but a severely downgraded, 30 frames per second, like way lower resolution, way lower textures. So the idea of being able to be at parity still does feel like a long way off. But if there's something like that bridges that gap and that only gets more, that tech only gets better and smarter, then like that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't mind if a little bit of silicon loses their job. You know, like, hey, if there's one chip that can do most of it, and that's kind of getting towards like quantum computing and AI being part of that, which is like, this is all like on the horizon, and you see very smart people talking about this shit being like, it's going to change everything.
Yeah.
That's the thing where we're dicking around with like AI videos on Instagram,
right?
And shitty text that doesn't really read like it was written by a real person, or like in Late Night with the Devil, that the imagery they used, it was clearly like AI generated and bad.
Yeah.
This is like, we're in like the prologue to the fucking main feature event, which is ones that can do more than any computer has ever been able to do times infinity. So I think we're in this weird phase where it's a bit prickly, it's a bit rough around the edges. And then when that happens, we'll all be out of a job.
Yeah.
Every human being will be out of a job.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
But that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing. It's like if no one has to work or they can choose to work and we all benefit from it, we get money to live, or everything becomes free or cheaper, then that's a paradise.
Yeah.
You know what's not a paradise?
Working at Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about to be a paradise lost because, there's been reports. This was about 7 days ago now, I think, maybe when the episode comes out, from one Jason Schreck over at Bloomberg.
The great man.
The great man himself. Who didn't like Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, by the way, we should clarify. People ask every now and then, why the fuck do you call him Jason Schreck?
Oh, yeah.
It's Jason Schreier.
Yes.
He hosts a podcast called Triple Click that we both really enjoy.
Probably the leading investigative games journalist in the world.
Yeah, he broke a bunch of stories in the past. Where did he work before Bloomberg? Was it Polygon maybe?
I think it was Kotaku.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He's written 3 books that are fantastic about the video games industry. He was like an early one, really like shining a light on like crunch culture and stuff like that.
Big time.
Great games journalist. I couldn't pronounce his name, and so we started calling him Jason Schreck.
That's right. That's it. It bears very little similarity to his actual name.
Yep.
But Jason Schreier, he reported that the Xbox division. I don't know if I don't think it's clarified Xbox Games division, but Xbox division set to lay off between 1,000 and 2,000 employees, which is bad. We experienced that most of last year with dozens of companies either laying off lots of people, shutting down. Some of them were bought by Microsoft and then shut down.
Yep.
It was terrible, and sort of spoke to, I guess, more the economic situation rather than like the video games industry situation, in terms of like people are still buying games.
Yeah.
People are still paying for games. People are subscribing to games. But there were all these other costs that were sort of falling onto the developers that they just couldn't handle. And now Xbox is, being hit by the same sort of realities, perhaps. But then at the same time, what was her name? I wrote it down. Laura Fryer, who was a founding member of the Xbox team, was, I think, on a podcast or on a stream or something, and was talking about, where Xbox is at, generally speaking, and, basically claimed that, in their opinion, Xbox hardware is dead.
Yeah.
They have potentially neither the desire nor the ability to ship large-scale, units of Xboxes anymore.
Yeah.
And they also were specifically like, jury's out on this Xbox ROG Ally. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's literally just slapping a logo on an existing product that we don't make.
You got to look up, if you haven't seen it, that video of it's like, I think it's an IGN, like they're doing it like in a room, people, like a crowd of people watching that press conference live.
Yeah.
And the video starting with, whatever it is, the controller kind of popping apart and a screen appearing.
Right.
People lose their minds, and then it's like they see that it's the ROG Ally, and it's just like the further dies down immediately because it's like, oh, it's not an Xbox handheld. It's just like it's just got an Xbox button on it. It's just going to come preloaded with that shitty app.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, because there hasn't been. I mean, we've heard talk about the rumors of the PlayStation 6, and it feels like that's kind of starting to ramp up a little bit, but I don't think we've really heard anything out of Microsoft about any scuttlebutt about the next gen of what they're doing.
No, I think we've heard a bit about the PlayStation 6, and we've heard that they are potentially working on their own portable computer, not just the PlayStation Portable, but like a portable version of the PlayStation
whatever it would
4
be,
Pro
like it
or
would
something.
maybe be not up to parity with a 6, but it might
or like a portable PS5, something like that. Like even that's been sort of hinted at and spoken about, but there were rumors that there would be an Xbox portable system that maybe were just pointing to the ROG Ally.
Yeah, I guess that's what that was and what that turned into, and because it does feel like they are realizing that a lot of people are not playing their games that they're they're playing them on a PC or
a tablet or a TV. Like you can just,
because they've got their cloud thing, which is really good, and they would have the numbers on like. I'd be interested on something like the Indiana Jones game once it finally came out on the PS5. Whatever it was, 6 months after, 6 or 7 months
something like
after.
that.
It came out December last year on the Xbox and PC and everything. So I wonder what the numbers are like on something like the PlayStation 5 versus,
I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a news article being like, it's selling faster, like actual units, because it was on Game Pass as well. Like it's selling better on PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So it does. And we've talked about this for a while. That Game Pass being this now essentially portable anywhere sort of service, like a Netflix.
Yeah, it's weird. They really are. Like they are leading the way with so much stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's still kind of yet to be anyone doing an equivalent of Game Pass in quite the same way.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, PlayStation and Nintendo both kind of have their versions of it where they utilize their like back catalog for subscription, which is smart. Like I think obviously Microsoft isn't in the same position where Nintendo have a library going back to the 80s that they can wheel out, that they can utilize. Microsoft doesn't have that, but even Nintendo do versions of it where they're now like the upgrades for the Zelda games on the Switch too. And they do come up with like new incentives for being on there.
Yeah, and the PlayStation Store kind of does the same thing. Like they have access to the PS1 games, PS2, all the way up to
all that stuff,
now.
And they'll do like the little here's your monthly game that you get, which is stuff that's a bit more current.
And I do think because I've never paid for like the middle or the higher tier. I've always been. And I've let it lapse entirely now.
Yep.
But the lowest tier of the PlayStation Network, PlayStation Plus, where you can do online play and get a game a month. That's always been, the furthest I've gone. But I do think, sort of similar to Nintendo Online, some of the higher tiers have like DLC for games or other sort of like, features that you will get. But it's like $100 more than Nintendo Online.
And I guess the thing is, if you're Microsoft, you kind of have to have that in place. Like their system, you think about, Nintendo, if they were to do a version of that, which is, all their new stuff. All the new stuff that comes out. You get it day one on
Donkey Kong Bonanza, day one on Nintendo Online Game Pass.
But they put out tons of first party stuff that people pay full price for.
Yes.
So they don't really need to do it. Like Microsoft utilize a lot of like other and like
yeah.
I got rid of Game Pass because it just had turned into like what am I ever playing on here? Like stuff shows up on there sometimes that's really good that I've played 6 months ago, and obviously a big part of that is doing this. So needing to stay a little more current. But it would rule if Nintendo had an equivalent. But I don't think it would make financial sense for them. But if they had something that was like a higher tier that was like all our first party stuff, you get it. Even if it was like a week early or something.
Right.
Could be cool.
Yeah.
They are still in the position of like their highest value. They have the assets of their like first party stuff.
Exactly.
And same with Sony when it comes along. Like,
and that's what's driving sales of the hardware, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 to play Mario Kart World, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, and whatever else I'm keen on, and that's okay because the console and the software are perfectly married together. It's not just like slapping a PC game on there, which they have done, and Cyberpunk is on Switch 2.
Yeah,
but if that's all it was, I wouldn't be anywhere near as inclined to buy one. And with the PlayStation, they have great exclusive games. They only have about 3 of them per generation now.
Yeah.
But still, like I'm playing Death Stranding 2, and I could wait a year and a half for that to be on PC, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's the choice, that I'm able to make. Whereas, Game Pass, it's a bunch of third-party stuff, and Halo was a flop. Basically, it wasn't a system seller, that's for sure.
I wonder, like, if they get out of hardware, then what does the future of Game Pass and these studios that they've acquired? Are they just assuming that everyone then plays these on PC, or do they start to put Game Pass on something like the PlayStation storefront, the Nintendo storefront?
There was speculation years ago that they were going to do Game Pass on the Switch.
Yeah.
And that they were going to be a bit more hand in glove with Nintendo.
But I don't know how that would function because there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get on PlayStation and Switch. So if there's all of a sudden like an app on there that's like a subscription thing that Nintendo gets a little cut off, but it then means that it undercuts all this other stuff that is on both of those storefronts. I don't really know how they would play. And I guess the other thing is I don't know how different the architecture of the hardware is, but if you imagine someone making a game where all of a sudden they're not having to factor in an Xbox version of it, does that make it easier on development? Is that one less thing to worry about if you're only having to develop it for PC and PlayStation? Does that lighten the load a little bit? I imagine even if they're very similar, there is some work that goes into it. So does that free up a bit of resources and cost and lighten the strain a little bit?
Or they just put xCloud on Switch and PlayStation. So it's only streaming them, and then otherwise you get... I mean, I guess it would be the same thing. If you have a smart TV and you have the Xbox app, you're playing it through the xCloud. You're never... Which people have become quite sort of resistant to the idea of not owning your games. There's this Stop Killing Games movement in the EU where there's this big petition to force companies to allow people who buy games to like physically own them or own the license, not just have access to the games.
People are really dirty about this the game card thing with the Switch 2 and it just being a download, which I mean, again, like I remember getting Red Dead 2 and being like, fuck yeah, here we go. And getting home and putting the disc in and it having to download basically the entire game through the disc. So again, it's not like this is a new thing. I think it sucks. Like it's completely, it's true. You should be able to have, and that's why you're seeing people go back to like Blu-rays and records and CDs and stuff, because it's like, well, then you just have, no matter what happens, you've bought it, you have this permanent ownership over it. So I agree that it sucks, but the cloud thing, they're like paying this ongoing subscription to then it's not, it is like renting. It's like you pay all this money, you pay off someone else's mortgage. And you, after a few years, you've had a roof over your head, but you have nothing to show for it.
And like, it is literally Netflix. We don't even... Yeah, I mean, like you have...
But I guess it's paying to go to the movies, right?
It's paying to go to the movies.
You pay $30 for a ticket. You don't own a slice of the movie.
And you can go to Prime or you can go to the Apple Store and you can pay to own movies still, and it's more expensive, but you own them, I guess, for the life of that account.
But even there's been things like that where then something happens where iTunes loses the license and it's gone.
That's
so
true.
you're like,
That's true.
but I own it. I've
like,
paid to own it.
Hey, you own the license.
You own the license.
You can access it when it's available on this service. Unfortunately, it's no longer available.
What a bleak episode.
Yeah, well,
it's crazy when
we haven't done like news for a while.
No, good point.
And it's all bad.
But the thing is, and yeah, is there any
Actually,
other?
it's not all bad.
Is there any other stuff to get into?
Well, yes, Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem, announced coming Feb or something, coming quite soon.
Yep,
pleasantly soon. Koshi Nakanishi, who's the director of Resident Evil 9, was interviewed, spoke a lot about the game and sort of the processes they were going through. I think this is the interview where he was quoted as saying, like, Leon Kennedy is a bad protagonist for a horror game because he's never scared of anything. He's always just like gung-ho, I'll do whatever it takes, which is probably potentially, why he wanted to pivot away from the main characters and introduce a new character who was a bit more like, vulnerable and you can feel like vulnerable as the player. But it was also quoted as saying that they experimented with an online version of Resident Evil and experimented with an open world version of Resident Evil, which I think would be interesting to me still.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even The Last of Us isn't fully open world, but so I guess that counts. It's more, thinking of it more as like an Assassin's Creed or something.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how they pull it off. But again, I feel like there's versions of that out there that you can get. And like what they do better than almost anyone is the very focused, linear, like
really tight puzzle and like the combat is great because you're fucking terrified the whole time because you're running out of bullets and all of that stuff. And then the story is like it has to be linear and it has to be focused and it's like so well directed and always so cinematic and like weird. I think through that experimentation process decided that it's neither something that we want to do and it's not what our fans want. And you're right, like you're a long-time fan of this franchise and you want more of the same style with those like interesting weird change-ups that they do in terms of like the plot or the enemies or the characters.
I think they've changed because I get it. Something that's been around for such a long time and like the temptation is like, well, how do we mix it up?
How do we keep it fresh? Yeah.
But I feel like that only, and they've kind of done versions of that. And I feel like you do that after when there's maybe been a bit of contention to like your previous entry. Like Breath of the Wild comes along after Skyward Sword because people are like, God, I'm sick of having my fucking handheld in this. And we've done a version of this like so many times and, the dungeons are fun, but it's like the same thing again and again. And I feel like after 5 and 6 had been such diminishing returns, it felt like. Or, I mean, I feel like even in them, they'd maybe mixed it up, but they'd mixed it up in the wrong direction. So then they go like...
Were they not... They were a bit more action-focused even
I think a bit more action-focused,
4,
And so 7, they mix it up and they go first person, but they put it back into like a creepy little scary house that you're like poking around in. So I think they've done like the right versions of it, but I totally get, having done it for a long time and like trying to strike that balance between keeping your audience like involved and interested and surprised, but also not completely getting, and even with like Breath of the Wild, there's people who that's too far in the other direction for. There's people who want those old classic dungeons back. So
right, I remember that being even something that we talked about a lot within the three of us at the time of like, is it worth sacrificing? Because like the what are the animals called? The
divine beasts.
The divine beasts being like, well, they're kind of a version of a dungeon, but they're much smaller.
They just don't have that same juice that people really want from what they love about those old ones. And that's totally fair enough. But And I would say, like, obviously, like, on the whole with Breath of the Wild, like, it paid off. But, it doesn't always. And, like,
it's always a bit of pain. Yeah. Bit of painful, experience for people who are like, but I loved what they had been doing every single time. And,
but I think it's equally as challenging and kind of more of an interesting challenge to figure out how to do the same thing, but keep that make that feel fresh rather than just be like, yeah, we'll throw it out and like, yeah. I mean, I think they do a good version of that with like Monster Hunter is a series that's been sort of similar for a lot of its basically its entire life, but they've always found ways to keep people engaged, add new little things in, keep it feeling fresh for a new console generation without it feeling like it's just more of the same, even though I think fans of that series really do just want like the same game again with like better graphics and new challenges. But yeah, this sounds great. It's I'm glad that they I mean, it would suck having it fucking permanently online. Resident Evil. Yeah,
and you're right, like they've sort of hinted like they've moved towards doing open world stuff or like just bigger worlds that are interconnected, but and like I'm only really a recent player of the franchise overall, and I'm not sick of it. Give me an enclosed world. Give me a little house. Give me a linear story through like a village, or even 4 where it kind of winds its way through and back around again. Just give me some of that. I'm eating that slop up like there's no tomorrow.
Well, speaking of eating that slop up.
Oh, yeah.
Should we talk little bit about some games that we've been playing?
Yeah, do you want to talk about some games that we haven't talked about first and then maybe talk about some other games? Yeah. Because you've been playing some stuff that...
I've played a couple things. I played a game called Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo.
Yes.
Which is on, I think, everything at this point.
Right. Was this one that you played the demo of, or...
No, I played it on...
You just went in on it...
I got it like the week before the Switch 2 came out. And I was playing it on the Switch. But it's it's a top-down... like basically a Metroidvania. You're this little bat. You've got a yo-yo and you are using the yo-yo to hit enemies. You're kind of like you'll walk around and there'll be like these little kind of bumpers on the side of walls and stuff, so you can sort of aim the yo-yo off that and position it. You know, a lot of the puzzles are like, how do you get, there's like a switch over there.
Right.
How do you use this series of bumpers and ledges and stuff to hit the switches? You can like ride around on the yo-yo, which you can use to kind of traverse across like water and lava and stuff. You've got a lot of different that you can kind of like throw it and retract it back to you. You've got a lot of different little tools that you're unlocking new versions of. And it's got this great art style. You're this like you're from this like kind of wealthy family. You've gone off to be a yo-yo performer in the big city or whatever, and you've come back and your like family house, there's like these batteries, this like power station that your family runs. These like 4 bad guys have come and stolen the batteries and gone off to like their different little lairs. So you gotta, like, work your way around the town. There's like this kind of overworld, this little city. It's great. It's got so much personality. The writing is fun. The character design is great. It's very cartoony, very bright.
Right.
And it just, it feels great to play.
Is it pixel art or is it more like...
It's pixel art,
Yeah, great. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And it's called, again...
Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo.
Okay.
Just search Cursed Yo-Yo.
I was going to say exactly that. Yeah,
it's great. It's like right up my alley. I haven't seen too many people talk about it, but it's it's fun. It's great.
Yeah, sick. I have not been playing anything new except for I went back in and played more of the Tony Hawk 3 and 4 demo.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought it was out, but they just updated the demo. Man, I'm pumped for that game.
Yeah,
it's next week.
Next week.
Yeah. So really excited for that. I even went back and played a bit of Ollie Ollie World.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned that, when we got the Switch 2, loaded a bunch of those games on. Went back in on a bit of that. Played a bit of Bowser's Fury in the new, 60 frames per second mode. Yeah. And what else did I play? Went back in on a few things. Not Odyssey, because, hey, we've got DK Bonanza coming.
True.
And it has been confirmed.
Yes.
That it is the Mario Odyssey team.
If it wasn't already.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating to me. Like,
yeah.
Just, it's so cool that they went, we'd sort of rather make a DK game.
Yeah,
and Nintendo was like, all right.
Yeah.
I really want to know now where Mario is in terms of like how far along a new Mario game is, where it is on the slate. And the cool thing about I liked Odyssey. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite format of the 3D Mario games.
I
kind of love the 3D world, the little kind of that sort of style a bit more.
Yeah, the isometric where you can rotate the camera like
and having a little
bit
levels,
and,
I kind of this I'm excited for Bonanza. Obviously, like the exploration of it sounds cool, and like I did like the format of Odyssey, but I would rather the next Mario go in a different direction, which it's exciting that like they've kind of taken that format and used it for DK.
Totally.
Sort of says to me that like, the next Mario won't be Odyssey 2, it'll be something something new or something.
We've been kind of thinking for a long time that it would be sort of a Bowser's Fury kind of thing,
like an open world.
One giant world with these sort of like sectioned off little mini levels. Again, like similar to 3D World where it's rather than like loading into the level, you like walk up and it's like, well, based on how this bit is designed, it is basically a level. Yeah. And I'm going to go through this bit like that and and having
I think it'll be something like that. But I wonder if maybe the Bonanza's been done for a while. Or they've split off into two teams because it can't be that they're just now starting from scratch.
No,
there's no way. But anyway, I've been playing also a game that was a launch game on the Switch too, Fast Fusion.
Oh, right.
It's a racing game. I think this is the third one of them. The last one was a launch game on the Switch 1, and the one before that was on the Wii U. I don't know when it came out on the Wii U, but
this is like the Wipeout style.
Wipeout,
the long
F-Zero.
narrow.
Sort of techno music.
Yes.
Very, very fast racing game. Mm-hmm. It looks great. It plays
I saw a
really
clip
well.
of it today for the first time.
Yeah.
Had completely ignored it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And man, it looks fucking cool.
It's really gone under the radar for a lot of people, but it's got a really cool kind of hook to it where pretty standard stuff. You're racing, you're getting your little gems that build up your boost meter. Mm-hmm. That's all pretty classic stuff. But then if you push a button, your car like changes color and there's different little panels on the track that are either red or blue. And so if you're the right color, you get a boost from that panel. And so you're sort of, it's not like it's super complex. There's not like, it's not like a rhythm game or anything where you're having to quickly, but there'll be like alternating left and right side of the track, blue for a bit, then red. And so you're sort of having to quickly pivot over, change your color. Like it is really satisfying when you manage to pull it off. And if you're like in a tight little pack of people, just getting the timing of that just right can be the thing that makes you kind of pull ahead. And it's very, it feels very satisfying because you're like, I did that better than the AI controlled opponent.
But like visually, I also think it looks really, really nice. Like really slick, very cool. Like I was just impressed. And again, it's like I've mainly been playing Mario Kart World or older games, but just that, and like it's a racing game, so you can be a bit more. It's a bit more self-contained in terms of like the scope of what it's trying to render, but it just looks really good.
It looks great. Yeah. It's a cool thing to see, like something like that day one, and be like, and this is a small team too. Like, the game's like $25 or something. Like, it's, it's not like, So this is like sort of scratching the surface of what a team would be able to get out of this hardware, graphics-wise. But let's maybe talk a little bit more about Mario Kart World and Death Stranding 2, because we talked about both of those games, but we did our episodes like the day that those games had come out. So we've done like a few hours, first impressions on both of them. I think we've both played a ton more of them. Now I just had someone tell me in the game that I've now connected half of Australia.
Oh, me too. I think we're at the exact same point.
I'm about halfway through the game, and just loving it more and more.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's so good. It is so charming in a way that there were elements of the first one that were so odd that you had to kind of be like, well, that's fucking awesome. What a bizarre idea. But there's something about this one. I think the cast of characters around Sam.
Having your little gang that are traveling around with you is really nice, and like, it's so video gamey that you connect a new spot and then this invented reason for your little base to be able to come around with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And we talked about this a bit, when we first played it. It leans into the video gameness of it being a video game in a way that is really like I said, like charming and fun and not immersion breaking.
Yeah.
Like there are bits where it is one of the antagonists, like, will just say stuff like, hey, after that, man, it's game over.
Yeah.
Like, just use a lot of that
Yeah,
really
yeah.
specific language, and it's a character that looks like a character from another game.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of this metatextual stuff that Kojima is doing with regards to his previous work.
Like when Tarman goes, you could almost say that it was a bit like a phantom pain.
Yes. Yes, that is also one of my favorite bits
The great
so far.
man. Yeah, and I mean, we'll talk a little, we're not going to spoil big things, but talk a little bit more specifically here than we did last week. Like,
Because, I think we're both, I think I've played about 18 hours, but I think, yes, it's about halfway through.
Yeah, you can just
Halfway through
see
the story.
it's kind of one of those ones where you can sort of see exactly where you are in the game because you're like, filling out a map.
Yeah.
But like you get basically there are fast travel systems in this.
Yeah.
You can use the Magellan to
Yep.
kind of go from places that you've already linked up.
You mean the DHV Magellan?
DHV Magellan, which by the way, on the Kojima, Angus pointed this out to me, on the Kojima Productions website, you can download a set of ringtones of the Magellan.
Oh, well, I'm doing that. I've got
I'm
an
going to change
Android.
my alarm tone
I'm
to...
plugging it in.
Oh,
it's so good.
so you can use that to just go into a menu, push a button,
Yes.
go back to where you've been.
Yes.
But you also are building up in between a lot of the distribution centers. There's a monorail that you can
Yes.
build. And that essentially functions as a fast travel.
Yeah.
You can kind of load cargo onto it.
Load a vehicle.
You can load a vehicle. You can ride it. But then you are treated to an unskippable cutscene.
So
which
good.
I love. It's like, hey, you can get around quickly if you want.
Yeah.
But because if you deliver cargo using the Magellan's fast travel,
Yeah.
you get graded kind of differently in the mission. Like it gives you, it sort of says like, hey, you didn't really, but you don't get the same kind of thing with using the monorail because it's like, well, you did traverse.
Yeah.
And
You
you had to build the track in order to use it.
Yes.
But I tell you what, I love riding the monorail. They're like switching to the far out camera. And he's just hanging off the side.
Yes.
And you can just put the controller down and just look at the scenery.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's awesome.
It's great. I love that you can't skip it. And it's right. You're right. Like, there is a reason. It ties into the gameplay. Like, people want to know that you did your job, basically.
Yeah. And like, I'm sure there'd be people that look, why can't I skip it? But like, no, that's the whole, That's
the whole game.
There are ways of traveling around that are skippable that like cut down the thing. And you're not having to like do the gameplay, but it's like, yeah, man, take it in.
Yeah.
Take in this beautifully rendered world.
Absolutely.
Like
yeah.
everything about it. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I maybe like had it turned off for some of it because our internet was kind of fucked, but
Oh, sure.
I just really don't remember seeing as much or being as affected by the online stuff in the first one of
shared
like
stuff,
coming across someone's put a bridge in just the right place or like I'm trying to get all the roads built and I don't quite know how it's working in terms of like obviously you're not online with like every single other person that's playing it because you would just get on and like everything would be done for you but like how it's choosing to
what
bring in
server you're on
but even that it must be like pretty because it's not like you'll get on.
It's relatively sparse.
But it's just like every fourth little bit of road will be done for you. And I've seen people say like they've gotten on and like all the roads have been done and like I don't really know how it's working because I'm having like little bits of it done. Yeah. But you need so much stuff to get those roads built and it is, you kind of it's always just slightly out of reach. Like you'll set off and you'll go, I'm going to build this road along as I go off to this bit.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you're like, I've completely exhausted all of the materials that I can get from all of the bases. So I just have to go the rest of the way on foot and then maybe I'll be able to like get enough resources from where I'm going and kind of work my way back.
Yeah.
But then when you get like a little piece of that little track is just done for you, it feels fucking great.
Yeah.
And someone having put a jump in the right spot or a time for shelter or yeah, all of that stuff.
The generators, because
the generators are a big one.
I'm in the off-road four-wheeler everywhere basically.
Yep.
And so yes, I'm loading that up with the materials.
I've got the little sticky cannon thing to pick up the packages along the way.
Got myself a sticky cannon and a gun.
Yep.
I'm unbeatable. And yeah, I didn't realize this initially, but on the map, once you've like walked past one, but if you look on the map and there'll be like an unfinished road or unfinished monorail section, it will tell you what materials it needs and how many. And so once you've done enough missions at certain distribution centers, they just up the amount of materials they'll give you. So often I'm like, I'm just going to stock up with metals and alloys. I'm going to go there. I'm going to build this road. And then I'm going to, like you say, keep going on the way to whatever my actual mission is.
If you get a base where you've got like a high enough level that you can just get so much fucking stuff that it won't even fit in the off-roader. So it's like, all right, well, I'll go to that first one. I'll finish off paving the road there. Then I'll come back, get everything else and drive to the next bit. It really does feel like, the first one... we had this experience and listening to a lot of other podcasts and reading a lot of other stuff, seeing that this was such a common thing to like bounce off it first time, be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It was like so demanding with how long it took to get into in terms of the story and the cutscenes and what it was throwing at you and how difficult it was to control. Yeah. And it felt like by the end of it, if you came back and you pushed through, you ended up loving it. And even the stuff about it that is a little dodgy, I feel like I wouldn't change because it's all part of it. Like the long-winded story and stuff of all of it is like, by the end of it, I was so charmed by all of it. And then this being having a lot less friction to it, it kind of just feels like this really nice reward for having pushed through the first one and sort of making your peace with that and being able to get on with it.
Yep.
And that now it kind of feels a bit like, almost like a new game plus.
I was going to say like a victory lap almost.
Tons of games have done this, but the one that sticks out is like a Resident Evil, right? Where you get to the end and then you get to go back through with like the fucking rocket launcher and just be like wiping out the first floor of enemies in like this stuff that was very difficult when you were first playing the game because you had no resources. It kind of feels like that. It's like, here's the car, here's all the best weapons, here's all this stuff, here's the exoskeleton stuff that makes all the like, you just get to go in and just have fun. It's just, it's so fun like immediately.
I remember.
Because it's like, you've done all that. You've done the like difficult, you've put it, it's like that difficult thing of a sequel where it does feel a bit like Tears of the Kingdom. I know it's not the same map in that way, but it's got sort of different environments, but it's not like it is still just like a barren landscape. Yep. It kind of may as well be the same.
It could all be the same color.
It could all be the same, But how do you make it feel fresh? Like, how do you make essentially the same game feel fresh? And it's like, the answer is just like, throw heaps of different shit at you for how you... And that's what Tears of the Kingdom did. It's like, here's a lot of the same stuff, but now you've just got a completely different toolbox to play around with.
I know, yes, I remember, especially the start of Death Stranding 1, coming across the BTs, and it would always be like, for whatever reason, maybe it's because you hadn't adapted to thinking about the game in the right way, but it's like, well, I've just got to wade through this tar, and then they're going to come and get me, and I'm going to really slowly try and get away from them.
And the baby's going nuts.
And the Audra deck's flashing, and I'm just like, I can't do anything about it except run away. Whereas this one, it's like, I've loaded up my car and I'm driving across here to get to the next point, and it started raining and it's gone into slow-mo, and then there's BT shadows everywhere. It's like, I'll just get out of the car and fucking shoot them.
And I do go like, oh fuck, but that's like that's the right it's meant to be it's meant to be annoying. But it's not annoying in the way that the first one was, where it felt like the first one was kind of like punishing you constantly. Like if you took a wrong step off a mountain and you fell and your shit went everywhere and damaged the cargo, like that can still happen in this, but it feels like it doesn't feel like it's as like fidgety in an annoying way with the controls as the first one was. It's great. It's a fucking masterpiece. I'm loving it. And especially at the moment, what I'm doing is sitting down for a big sesh and then pausing mid-mission and just going and playing a couple of knockout tours.
Yeah.
What a couple of like mad 2 games to have on the go at once. Like
So good.
2 complete polar ends of the spectrum of gaming, but just completely excelling in what they do in such different ways.
Yeah.
Even like visually, I think like, you know, Death Stranding looks about as possible as it's good for, about as good as it's possible for a
Yes.
essentially realistic looking game to look.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, you've got this like, real kind of beacon of artistic design and on this new hardware, like able to look better than a Nintendo game has ever looked. Where are you at with Mario Kart World?
I haven't been doing that. I've put it down kind of since I picked up DS2. But up until that point, I'd probably between my partner and I, we'd clocked up over 30 hours.
Yep.
Which is what I think you were at that point of as well. But I've had a few sessions where I've gone into the free roam and I've got all the costumes that I can get.
Yep.
And I still haven't got mirror mode. So I've done...
Oh, yeah, sure.
I've got like at least 2 stars on every single cup, so Grand Prix and Knockout Tour.
Yeah, I think you need I think the stars don't matter. I think you need I don't even think you necessarily need gold. I think you just need a cup on all of them.
Well, I've got gold and stars on all of them. I've got 20 P-Switch challenges. I've got something like 12 medallions, and I've got something like 14 question mark blocks.
Yeah, I think you need 10 of each of them. But then, so the thing is, like, after you've done... Because I was in the same position where I was like, yeah, I've got all this. You need to go and do that final cup where you do Rainbow Road again.
I've done it about 5 times after I should have had... Yeah, so I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's weird. That is really weird.
Yeah. I'm just going to try and like get more stuff in free roam and see if that helps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe, yeah.
Or like close, I don't know if I got to like close the game and, you know, fully restart or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Someone will know. Someone will be able to.
If anyone does know,
up in the Discord.
Yeah, please let me know. Not that it's like, you know, mirror mode's great, but I'm just having fun.
It's an extra thing to knock off. I mean, it is, it's fun to just have an excuse to go through all that stuff again.
Yeah.
I've got all the costumes. So the little critter characters, the way that you unlock them is if you get turned into them by Kamek, then you have the character. And so there's a degree of randomness to it. There's like they all appear in a set track.
Right.
So there's just basically you have to just race the one track again and again and again and hope that not even you, someone else gets Kamek.
Yeah.
And then you have to be in the path of it.
Yes.
I've seen some people really off that side of it.
Yeah, right.
I kind of feel like, well, yeah, it's a little annoying, but all it means is like I have to play one of my favorite games of all time a bit more. So that's fine.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of free roam mode, and again, it's funny how divisive this game has been for a Mario Kart game. A lot of people are really off in a lot of the previews before it came out. The criticism I saw of the free roam mode was that the areas in between tracks are really like barren and boring, and I don't know that I agree with that, or that I feel like it's a negative.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing world. So like, there's a highway in between some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I do think that those bits are populated still with so much character. Like there's little guys driving around. There's Yoshi delivery trucks. There's like a hitchhiking Toad. There's like a tour bus that I saw a TikTok of like they followed the bus around and like it stops and Toads get off and on and you can see that it's like the same one. Like there is so much personality going on, and like, I mean, something like Forza Horizon is just like it's kind of highways and roads and realism, and the races that you do are like kind of just a lap of a circle. Yeah. This is like, I love the way it blends in a kind of really chaotic track with like fucking big bits up in the sky. Yeah. And it seamlessly like blends into another track, and like, there's some like fields in between, but like it's a big map. It's a big, you can't have it be all crazy Mario stuff. No. On every corner, but like I like the way that I like the race. I like the highway races in between tracks. I would like an option to do a Grand Prix that is just the tracks.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like there are some courses where you do the drive to the course and then you do a lap.
Yeah.
And you're not really getting to experience the full track.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I would like that option.
And there's also some tracks that show up across multiple knockout tours.
Yes.
And then there's some that, like the DK Spaceport, for example, you do as the final race in a Grand Prix, and it doesn't really show up in any other.
Yeah.
Like you know, so there are some that all of a sudden you go like, I've barely played that track.
Yes.
There's some I feel like Moo Moo Meadows feels like it's kind of in the middle, so it kind of crosses over in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But then there's like the Boo Cinema track. I feel like it hardly ever comes up in things.
Yep.
So I would love an option to do that. And then there's been so much said about like the free roam mode and how it needs a better way. It needs any way of tracking what you've picked up. Like it tells you what you've got, but I've done quite a lot of it, but I'm holding off doing too much because I'm waiting for them to add in the option to see on the map, like, hey, you've got to go over here and get these are where these bits are left.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people online being like, yeah, I followed a guide to trying to get every single one, and I did everything in the guide, and I'm still like 2 or 3 short on each thing, and it's like, well, how the fuck am I going to find those?
And I've seen a lot of people kind of angry that you don't really get anything that significant for doing those things. And like on the one hand, I wish that they unlocked more things just because I love unlocking costumes and cars and stuff. So I wish there was basically an infinite amount of that stuff in this game. But it does remind me a lot of Tears of the Kingdom, where we were talking in that game about how you get so used in these kind of games to getting like a new weapon or, XP and that being the motivation to do all this little side stuff. And I feel like Nintendo do this thing a lot where it's like the reward is doing the thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, the reward is you get to have fun.
Yeah. So I don't mind that side of it.
Yeah.
I do think it's weird that there's these switches and then there's the coins.
Yep.
And then there's just the question mark panels. Mm-hmm. And each little track on the map, it shows you how many question mark panels there are.
Yes.
But there's no reward for doing all of them on a track.
No.
That seems weird. That seems like there should be some little...
Yeah,
If you're going to count... If you're going to show me a little thing of like, hey, there's 8 more to go. It's like, well then, why not have them just be another Peach medallion? Like, why is there the differentiation between... Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, I would love to see that added in. I would love a way to curate my own playlist of music, because there's so much music in this game.
Yes.
And you hear a lot of different stuff when you're just driving around in free roam mode. Yeah. But if you're playing like a knockout tour or a Grand Prix, when you get into the track, the track has its own music that you hear.
Yes.
And I've been playing this heaps. I don't need to hear the Moo Moo Meadows music again. I'd be happy to have a bit of a break from that and be able to like custom select like these are the songs I want to play.
That's true,
when I'm playing it.
Yeah, you get to like Peach's Castle and it's like ba ba ba.
Yeah. I've heard that plenty.
Yeah.
And I mean beyond it's exciting to think about what they could and will add to this game.
Yeah.
There's definitely they could add some kind of story mode or more challenges to the map, like pretty easily. I'd be surprised if they make a Mario Kart World 2. I think it's much more likely that they just go, here's a brand new map within this game.
Yep.
It's like a DLC pack.
There's a new little bridge and you go over here and how confident are you that we will get, aside from characters, because I think maybe there'll be some characters introduced when new games come out. How confident are you that we'll have stuff added to this game within 12 months? I'd
say almost definitely within 12 months. Even just like super cosmetic stuff like here's 10 new costumes for free or whatever. Yeah. And I would love if that stuff gets added. I would love the option to unlock it in the same way.
Yeah.
I really like driving around, and I liked the little task of going like, and even getting to the end and only having like one costume left for each character to find. Right. I did look up like, where do you get Because it's like there's different food unlocks different stuff that's
Yeah.
in different regions. So going like, the Yoshi things that's up near the train station, you go there.
Right.
But I really liked having a reason to like go in and use all the different characters.
Yes, me too.
Something that I would never do in a Mario Kart. I just pick my favorite character and I liked driving around as again, like previously you would just do the Grand Prix, try and get gold on 150 and then get the 3 stars. This is like you've got not just the Grand Prix but the knockout tour.
Oh, yeah.
But then also like just going like I'm just going to race for a bunch as a different character to get all their costumes.
Yeah.
I think that I'm really excited to see what they add. I think that what's there is so good. I love the map. I think I think there's a couple of little things that haven't quite hit the mark just in terms of how they've implemented it, but that's so easy to change. It's so easy to just get in and add like a thing on the map that shows you where the switches are that you haven't got.
Yeah.
That's so easy to chuck in.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing to do with this game would have been building the map. And I fucking love the map.
Map's awesome.
So even just before they get into adding like new courses or anything like that, I think there's so much that they could do with just a few little tweaks to just like
enhance that experience.
Crank this up to another 10 or 20%.
Yeah.
Like I love what's there and it's exciting thinking that like this is, like potentially one day we'll look back on this as like, oh, look how bare bones it was when it came out.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm also very excited for that stuff. I'm fucking pumped as shit for DK Bonanza though.
Yeah.
I can see, and I want to finish Death Stranding 2.
Yeah.
So we can get to that. Which
I feel the same. I mean, we got like 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
that's kind of my thing. I'm just, it's such a great loop. Just get into a place, get your little package.
Oh yeah.
Here's where to go.
I mean, I just love the design of the whole goddamn thing.
Yep.
All the fun little characters you come across delivering shit to.
Yep.
The fact that the pizza chef is a VTuber with an anime fucking profile.
Oh, the data
picture.
scientist. famous VTuber.
Yeah.
Have you got the little hat that she gives you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm wearing it everywhere, and he says like her little catchphrase as he's moving around.
Oh,
now.
great. Yeah. Pico.
The bit where the girlies ask you to take a photo of them.
Yes.
And I chose to take it on the bridge, and so everyone was in it, and Dollman was riding the little tar cat around.
Oh, great. Yeah, I did it in Tomorrow's bedroom, and so the girlies were just like posing. With fucking, but yeah, that's so cool. That's what I mean of it. Yeah, it's way more charming than the first one. It has this real heart, man, to it. Mm-hmm. It has, the camaraderie you have with the team. Not everyone's just this fucking mysterious, possibly evil, possibly like cynically motivated character.
It's such a great move giving you a little guy who's talking to you, who's explaining little bits and pieces and things and is a bit, Kojima writes things where it's like there's a lot of assumed knowledge where you're going like, what, did we learn about this at any point?
Yeah.
And the truth is that you didn't, but having a little guy who's like, what's going on, Sam?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, right, okay, I'm meant to feel like this.
And like fucking the design of, and like people know this, that Higgs, the villain from the first game, is in this one. The like redesign.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And like his fucking little bad
coffin
guys.
that he comes out of.
Oh, his little coffin.
His little guitar.
Yes. And then because like we'd seen a scene in the trailer where he's fighting against a big ninja thing with a big katana blade. And I just got to that in the game, or, got to it, a few hours ago. And the introduction of that scene, and given how like threatening Higgs has been to see this character come along and be like, oh shit, who the fuck is this? And how are they so fucking cool? And and the design of it as well, the fucking like almost flaming katana blade.
Yeah.
It's all so cool.
I love it all. I love Norman Reedus. I just like, I don't know. It's very like, he is very silent protagonist, but I think that just what's there of him, I don't know. I'm loving all of it. The music is great.
Music's awesome.
The way that
you can put that in a fucking playlist and play it while you're playing. Yeah.
But I love like, I just love the way it deploys the music where you've done, it kind of, I don't know, there's something about how free so much of it is, but then you'll have gotten a thing and you're taking it back to the base and like it'll come up with the name of the song on a thing and it'll like trigger a music cue and you realize like, oh, this bit is like not so much on rails, but like I don't know, there's something about like the guiding hand of it that I really love. When it starts playing the music, it's like, no, you're meant to be.
Yes, exactly.
You know, the game, like, you feel like you just have forged your own path, but it's like
100%.
No, you're doing what we've kind of like instructed you to do.
Yeah,
I don't know
that we planned for this.
Yeah, being able to have like linear, very cinematic kind of stuff happen in something that is like quite open ended.
Yes,
is and even like you'll do things where you kind of go outside the margins a bit, but it never feels like. Like there was one thing I had to do where I kind of went around the coast. I didn't want to I wanted to take the car, so I didn't want to have to like get out and walk and go through the overgrown bit. Or I think I was avoiding an enemy base and I went right out around along the coast and I like came across some enemy stuff that like little mine things that hadn't been introduced yet.
Oh, right.
And Dotman was like, what the hell is that? And, you know, because like often before you find something new as part of the mission that they're giving you, they're like, now, Sam, when you go into this base, they've got this. But that hadn't happened. I came across I skirted around a camp that, but even that, it didn't feel like, oh, I've kind of broken the game and I've gone the way I'm not meant to go. It's like, it's given me an option here of just going the long way around. But like, I want to drive. I don't want to fuck around with walking over the bit. I want all my medals. I want my special alloys.
I think I did something similar where it was like, and maybe everyone does this. There was a mission where it's like, I'm in the car and the place is over there and it's kind of been like pointed out like, well, you know, there's like, there's a mountain here and there's like a path here. But if you go straight there, you go through the desert and there's a massive fucking sandstorm.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't see anything.
Yeah, I had that happen. And then my car ran out of battery.
Oh, well,
in the middle of the sandstorm.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
But I think maybe because, whatever the server I'm on or whatever, there was a generator like smack bang in the middle.
Yep.
And there was a timefall shelter over there. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going straight through the storm.
Yep.
And so, like hit up the generator, realized like nothing really happens if you park under a shelter because you're in a car. So like, okay, whatever. And just like plowed through and literally couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Like basically could occasionally see that the car was tipping up and then tipping down.
That's it. I was getting up a hill and I just could not make it up the hill because I was going. So I'm like trying to turn around and reorient myself and to veer to the left to kind of like get out of the storm.
Yeah. But it's like, maybe it would have been easier if I'd gone around the storm.
Yeah.
But I'm just going straight through.
Yeah.
And again, like they've kind of planned for, it seems like most eventualities, like even if you come across these mines, it's like, well, that could encourage you to not go that way.
Yeah.
Or you could push on through and it's a bit harder, but you get there in the end.
I've fallen into the trap now of like, I just want to build the road. I want to get the roads all built. I want to because I had a little stretch where I had a bit to do and I could see on the map like 2 or 3 chunks in a row were kind of done, but the bit from the facility wasn't done. So I just did that and then I'm like, fucking how good's it? And it was the first time I'd been on a road like in...
Right.
Because I feel like you kind of come across them like pretty late in this one.
Yeah.
But it was like a good chunk of the way through. I'm like, oh my God, this is heaven. Oh, you're just cruising along.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really want to get all them built and you're like... Yeah, you're just like, oh, what bits can I go back to where I never got all my...
Right.
Or like, which bases have I like got some packages that I've found that I can deliver to and then that might bump my rating up and I'll be able to get more stuff from them.
Yeah.
God, it's good.
I'm doing a lot of entrusting my cargo.
Yep.
So if I'm just, the wrong place, but I've got some stuff, I'm like, hey, someone else will take care of it.
I've caught a fucking kangaroo or two and gone, someone else can deal with this.
Yeah. I took a great photo of an emu and then accidentally ran over it.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, and like... I can't remember seeing this at all in one, but when you see like other actual guys, and obviously it's not people, it's like they're not someone live playing the game at the time, but it is someone else's little avatar who's just there and
little ghost of them.
They've got some packages that you can take or swap and they'll wave at you and it's awesome. It's such a well done device, and the way it kind of helps you a little bit, but as I say, it's not like you're connected to every single person playing because then everything would be filled out. So it always helps you a little bit, but you're still doing the bulk of it by yourself. It's such a nice balance that it strikes.
Yeah. It's so fun. And the combat is genuinely enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think, we must have done the same bit, the underwater level.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, why does there have to be a fucking water level?
Yeah.
But that is really cool, the way it's laid out, the way you have to kind of
chasing him around,
similar to the previous bit in the like chapel thing. But it was fun. It wasn't like a chore. It wasn't too hard. Which I remember fucking in the first game, the jungle bit where you're fighting Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
I found that really difficult. I had to play it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I can't really remember too much about it, but I remember like appreciating like, oh, something different's happening now, but I don't remember loving it. Whereas these, having done one already and thinking like, wow, that was pretty cool. And then the second one comes up and it's like, okay, fine. Like I'm looking forward to doing my next delivery, but like, and then you're in a hospital and it's underwater. Yeah.
Man, it's so, the ideas this cunt has.
I know.
So I was playing it and Bridget was watching a little bit and was like, watching some of the cutscenes and being like, oh, that's Elle Fanning. Oh, that's that guy from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Like it
that's
just,
Dr.
it looks...
George.
That's
famous
Eggman?
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 player.
Yeah.
Dr. George.
Who else was? Lea Seydoux, like being like, they just look like it just looks like them. Like, and sort of being like, has Kojima ever like, does he want to make a movie? Because it seems like he wants to make a movie.
Does he ever?
I was like, there are things that you can do in video games, and he is such a pioneer in so many ways that you can't do in a movie, and it probably wouldn't play in a movie. It wouldn't feel. Well, so there's going to be silly, maybe.
So there's a movie and TV series of this. In production or pre-production or whatever. So I think the series is animated, perhaps. Yeah, and it's the people that made the Castlevania show.
That's right.
Working on that. And then there's a feature film. And
is it?
I think reading that before this, I was like, I don't know. But I just think there's so much in this world that is interesting that I've got faith. Yeah. I've got faith.
Do you know who's directing the feature film?
I don't know if... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they've said.
Because I know, I was like, was it Alex Garland? But no, he's making the Elden Ring movie.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's like... Yeah, I'm on to like New Game Plus 7. Like I love Elden Ring. I've played so much of it. So he's like a real head, Alex Garland.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah, A Quiet Place Day 1, Helmer. Michael Sarnowski.
Okay.
To direct Death Stranding video game adaptation for A24 and Kojima Productions.
Did you see Quiet Place Day 1?
Yeah, I didn't love it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
that was just kind of more the script. I thought it was I don't know. But yeah, I wonder how involved Kojima is going to be, and
you'd imagine he'd have.
It's with Kojima Productions, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, he directed Pig as well.
Oh well, I fucking love.
So that
Pig
was great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that gives me some more. That gives me much more optimism then.
Like I wonder if. So I think that the TV thing, they've said it's like a side thing. I wonder if the movie is going to be like an adaptation of the game.
Yeah.
Because if it is just taking the bullet points of these two scripts, then that could be cool.
Sure.
But I mean, and then are you getting readers to be in it?
Man.
Like, are you getting these people to do like a straight up movie version of it? Because like... I think I'd be okay. I'd be okay with that.
I mean, it's like, you know the character. You've performed them well before, so...
Yeah. It's not like it's a digital... Like, it is literally you.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather that than, like, a guy playing the character of Sam Porter Bridges and it being a different guy.
Yeah.
Or I'd rather it be...
An original...
These all exist in the same universe and it's an original story that is happening sideline to... Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way to go. Do an original story.
An original story, I could see it being like it's the it's as the event is happening, right?
Oh, yeah,
In the immediate aftermath.
Yeah, Death Stranding day one.
Yeah.
It can't go wrong.
Well, we'd better wrap this up. We've been yammering on for far too long.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. Get onto the Patreon. Support the show. We will see you next time. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals, insert AI prompt here.
And then he pointed to his anus.
Yep.